Hey guys, what's up? Alec Torelli here. Welcome back to the Conscious Poker YouTube. Here, you can take your game to the next level with awesome strategy and mindset content. Be sure to subscribe. We have awesome content coming on a weekly basis where I review your questions, hand breakdowns, and of course, these sessions that I play on The Hustler. I break all the hands down that I play on a weekly basis. Also, check out consciouspoker.com. We have awesome free content, hand breakdowns, exclusive content, and a chance to invest in a piece of me on The Hustler. No markup. I don't charge any markup. This is just a thank you to my most loyal fans and subscribers. I send out the password every week in our Crush Mondays newsletter at consciouspoker.com. So this week we're playing a very fun format on the Wednesday game, 25, 50, 100 with a $100 ante. But what we did in this game is we did the stand-up game. Of course, we can't stand up because of the cameras. It would be very awkward and like obstructing all the views. But we basically, each player gets a button. And when you win a pot, you get this little button that signifies that you won the pot. Now, the last player to win a pot, or put another way, whoever does not win a pot out of the 8 players in the game has to pay everyone else $500 as a bounty. So basically, if you don't win a pot, you lose $3,500. So if there's 2 people left, you know, the blinds are $100, right? But if you raise to 300 and you win the pot, then that's $3,500 you save in paying the other guy. So what this does from the incentive standpoint is it creates a ton of action, especially when you're down to 2 or 3 players, because whoever does not have a button knows that it's frankly cheaper to make it $300 pre-flop than it is to pay $3,500 to all the other players combined. So what this does is it creates a lot of raising, a lot of 3-betting, a lot of action in an otherwise what would have been a rather tight game. So this completely changed the dynamic of the game, and you saw a lot of crazy hands pre-flop, a lot of crazy bets, 3 bets, 4 bets, floating, all this sort of fun stuff that we're going to break down in today's strategy, but be mindful of that. And so that's it for today. Subscribe to this channel. Awesome content's coming. Let's dive in to the hand reviews. All right, guys, you know it. I'm on the treadmill, getting my steps in, reviewing hands. Let's dive in. This hand kicks off. Really get to show you how crazy these games actually play. So I do not have a stand-up button at this point. I forgot how many people don't have it, but obviously the incentives are such that the fewer people that have it, the more aggressive everyone's playing, because people know that you're playing more aggressive, so they're defending against your aggression by calling with more hands. So at this point, I lost a few big pots. I paid off 4 in a hand. I bluffed a few hands. I got like 3-bet and 4-bet out of pots. So I'm down to the weeds here. I got like 5K. So I make it 300. And frankly, I didn't rebuy because I'm short and I don't have a button. So I'm going to have to pay everyone $3,500 if I don't, or total $3,500 if I don't win a pot. So for me, having fewer chips is a big advantage, and not rebuying is a big advantage, because I basically am going to be committed to a pot eventually. I'm going to have to go all in pretty soon to win a pot, right? Like, I'm not going to just raise to 300 and everyone's going to fold and give me the button. That's not how this game works. You have to, raise pre-flop or 3-bet and then bet the flop, and then you have to be committed to pots. So basically, if my stack is short, I benefit dramatically from my risk reward, because I'm going to have to be committed to a pot with a very marginal hand. And when you're short on chips, you can do that a lot more profitably. If I have like 30K here, I'm going to have to pile that in to win this damn button. So I didn't rebuy here. I do run it up. Stay tuned. The game gets crazy. Anyway, I opened to 300 with King Jack. I got to win this button. Henry calls, just to kind of give you an idea, Henry calls with Queen Deuce suited. So people are playing a lot of hands. He has to win a button too, I guess. Art, Mike in the hand. Flop comes King, Queen, 7. Pot's 1,300. Drinking my green juice. I'm committed to this damn hand no matter what. I got to win this button. So I come out firing here. I bet 800. Henry calls. Everyone else gets out of the way. And the turn comes a blank. 5 of clubs, bringing backdoor flush draw. Pot is 3K. And here I have 4,500, so I'm just thinking, like, what would I do if I was bluffing, right? If I have ace-jack, if I have ace-10, if I have, jack-10, if I have a turn to flush draw, if I have 8-9 or 6-8 or like whatever, I'm going to just pile it in, because, again, there's 3,500 essentially dead for me in the pot, because, like, if I don't win this pot and Henry wins or another player wins and I don't win a button, I have to pay 3,500. So it really changes kind of like the risk reward here. So I just pile it in. And I think actually that makes my hand look a lot weaker than it actually is. And if I'm beat, I'm going to get stacked anyway. But I think a lot of times, like, and you know, if Henry has a worse hand, he's not going to believe me. So he snap calls me with queen deuce, which basically means he puts me on a complete draw. Because, you know, he doesn't beat a queen, he doesn't beat a king. I understand it. Like, if I had a draw, I would ship as well. So I thought that makes my hand look weak. But I wanted to illustrate this hand because I think it's a really interesting spot, and it really shows the way that these games play and how the ranges of hands change so dramatically because of this game. Anyway, I ship it in. Henry calls. Here's what happens. Whatever you want. I don't care. Once is fine. They're
going to do it one time. Pot is $12,000. A deuce or a queen on the river. It's a 3, and Torelli not only finally wins a hand,
You got a button.
but he also wins a huge pot, doubling up.
You got a button and a double up. Mission accomplished.
Woo!
All right, next hand kicks off. I still don't have a button. So we're playing the stand-up game another time, and I don't have a button. So Art raises under the gun with queen 9 of clubs to 300. I have an 8K stack, and I need to win the pot. So I 3-bet to 1200. Art already has a button, which is very good for me. Airball comes out now with a cold 4-bet to 2200. So mindful of my stack, but he makes this super small 4-bet. At this point, of course, I don't have a button, so you know I have to win. But calling $1,000 to win a pot of 4K, it's a great risk reward for me. Yeah, sure, I have a short stack, but I'm in position and I'm calling 1,000 to win 4,000. So it's just a math play. I go ahead and make the call, and the flop comes down gin for me. It comes 9-7-4 with rainbow, and Airball comes out betting 1,500. And then here at this point, I see a lot of players, I see a lot of clients, students of mine, in spots like these, they're just like, oh, top 2, you know, just really excited about their hand, they just ship it in. But think about it, like, why are we shipping here? Like, if our opponent has aces or kings, like Airball's repping aces or kings pre-flop, he cold 4-bet. I guess he could have queens, jacks, sure. But like, he's repping big pairs. If he has those big pairs and I flat this flop, all those hands are going to jam the turn. So people are worried about protection. They're worried about missing value. You're not protecting anything. You're not missing value from anything when your opponent has the like overpairs. You're not protecting because he's gonna go all in on the turn anyway. You're gonna get all the money in regardless of how you play the hand on the flop. So you're not protecting, and if he has those hands, you're getting the money in on the turn anyway. You're not missing value. But what you are missing value from are the bluffs. Hands like king high that are going to bet. If I jam, they're going to fold. That hand is drawing very slim. You can see here it has like 4% equity. It's basically dead, right? So you don't want your opponent's bluffs to fold here when you have this hand. So it's really important to call this flop, and this really sets the tone for the rest of the hand because it allows you to double up. Turn comes at 3, bringing a flush draw. Again, people get scared. You know, airball checks. They're like, oh, I don't want a 1 card straight to come. I don't want a club to come. I don't want the board to pair like a 4 or a 5 or whatever, a 6. But again, if your opponent has aces and he's trapping, the river comes, he's going to jam, you're going to call, you're going to win the money regardless. But what you miss by betting are the bluffs. It's really important to keep the bluffs in the pot for 2 reasons. Number 1, when your opponent's bluffing, they can catch up. Airball has king queen. There's 6 cards that can make him top pair. If he hits a king or a queen on the river, I'm going to stack him because he's going to bet the river thinking his hand is good. He's going to think I have something like ace high or a 7 or pocket 8s or something like that. So he's going to bet for value. Number 2, what you can do is if your opponent doesn't hit his hand and an ace comes, for example, he can bluff the ace. If a jack comes, he can bluff the jack. If a club comes, he can bluff the club. If the straight card comes, he can bluff the straight. If a blank comes, maybe he just bluffs anyway because I checked. So you get value from his hands when he makes them. You get value from his bluffs when he doesn't. It's really, really important here to check this turn so that you can double up. And I see so many people make this mistake here, so I really wanted to emphasize it for you. He checks, I check behind, the river comes a king, it's one of those spots. He jams, of course, thinking his hand is good. I have a very easy call and a nice double. If you like this style of analysis and my step-by-step process where I break things down in a linear order, you have to check out our membership at consciouspoker.com. It's one of our premier products. I walk you through my hand reading system in a course. There's 4 courses meant to build your game from the ground up. So we literally take you from the fundamentals to pre-flop to the math to hand reading. And there's also 300 videos on every poker subject with a super easy to use filter feature where you can find exactly the content you're looking for. You'll also get access to myself, our members from around the world, and other coaches to help you reach that next level on your poker journey. Check it out at the link in the description below, or click this little link up here and visit consciouspoker.com, click on membership to learn more. I'll see you on the inside. All right, next hand kicking off here, we have a limp and another limp. Airball in the cutoff makes it 600 with the jacks. Of course, I think he's raising here pretty wide in this spot, attacking the limps from the players who are trying to win a button. He could have a lot of hands here. He happens to have jacks, but that's not, it's not the only hand Airball's playing in this spot. Folds around to Mike X, looking for a button as well. You can see here there's no button in front of him. He makes it 2,000. So his range is going to be very wide as well, because number one, he's attacking the dead money limps that Airball is attacking. So he's attacking Airball, who's attacking the dead money limps. And number two, he wants to win a button. Maybe, he could have ace king or aces or kings or queens, sure. But he could just have like 9-5 suited and just like want to win the pot. And if Airball folds, then he just wins the pot, which is valuable. But he also wins the button, which is a $3,500 bounty. So he's going to have a lot of hands here. Back over to me in the straddle, I have ace queen and no button. Okay, so like, what do I do? Can I cold call here and then let maybe one of the limpers call and let Airball call, or let Airball back raise? Like, no, I have to raise here. So at this point, I don't really want to raise and have Airball think he has fold equity and go all in, because I'm going to call it off probably, but it's not that great of a spot. I want a lot of Airball's hands, like his, 9s or 10s, or maybe even jacks or ace queen. I want those hands to fold. So I think it actually looks like it's harder for him to continue if I jam, because he has Mike X behind, and Mike X could have aces or kings. Mike X has what's called an uncapped range, meaning he has all the premium hands in his range, and Airball knows that. So Airball can't just get completely out of line here, because he's worried about me, but he's also worried about Mike X. So me raising and raising big puts Airball in a very tough spot, and I want to win this pot pre. I don't want to get the showdown. I don't want to get all in with jacks and flip, or I'm actually behind, but I just want to win the pot, because I win the button and I just win all the dead money. So I make it 14K here, which is sort of like essentially the same as a jam. It's basically saying, look, I'm committed to this pot, and Airball knows that he basically now has to jam or fold. And Mike X behind has like 40K. You could see Airball asks him like, hey, how much do you have? Like, he has like 40 something K. So Airball is in for 600, and his option is to commit 40K. So it's a very tough spot for him. He does sniff it out, and he decides to stick it in here with jacks. Mike X, of course, gets out of the way with ace queen, which sucks for me. He folded the same hand. We run it once, and here's what happens.
Mike X is going to get rid of it. Obviously, they're going to run it once. Torelli versus Airball. $40,000 pot. We got a flip.
I can't win.
But we've seen one ace and one queen dead. So Airball's actually a pretty big favorite.
No, I can't win. Not today. Today I can't win. Yeah, I know. No aces for sure.
Oh, hello. There's a queen and a jack.
I folded ace queen off too. Please have ace. Wait, where's his hand?
He's in his
Oh, I was like, he doesn't even have cards. What the fuck? I didn't muck yet. This time I'm not mucking.
one or two.
This time I'm not mucking.
He might have two queens.
Only a king, by the way, will save Torelli.
Getting a revenge slow roll. That's fair.
Yeah.
Torelli looking for the queen. I'm sorry, looking for a king, pardon me. 40,575 in the pot, and here it is. It's the ace.
That didn't get there?
No.
This hand is wild. We have a $200 straddle. I'm looking for a button. I make it 600 in the hijack. Brown Balla calls in the cutoff, and Airball calls in the big blind. Art now makes it 4,000 in the straddle. And so I think he's going to be very wide here. He's going to have a lot of hands here, because he knows I'm raising with any two. Brown Balla didn't 3-bet. Airball didn't 3-bet. Airball would 3-bet if he had a really strong hand. So he knows that like our money is kind of dead. So the types of hands that he's raising with here are pretty wide. Like he could be 3-betting here with a lot of hands. Mariano in the straddle, not a believer, makes it 10,000. And at this point, like Mariano had made some 4-bet bluffs here in spots where like he was, he saw the 5-bet bluff earlier. I don't know if you watched the stream, but he made a 5-bet bluff with ace 7 of hearts. He's definitely capable of bluffing here. So he's a type of player where his re-raise, and this is what makes Mariano tough, is like his re-raise here, he knows that I'm opening with anything. Brown Balla has anything. Airball has anything. Art is squeezing with a lot of hands. So he like is aware of all the things that we're talking about here. So his 4-bet could be light. He could just be stealing the pot. He could be 4-betting a hand here and be bluffing, or he could be 4-betting a hand for value like 10s, right? Like he has 10s. What's he going to do? Fold? No, he's not going to fold. Why would he fold? He shouldn't fold. He has 10s. Like he knows everybody has shit. So like he could be 4-betting with 10s. He could be 4-betting with jacks. So I'm like, you know what? There's 15, 18K dead money in the pot. There's a lot of shenanigans going on in this game, and if I ship it here and like they all fold, I like win 50% of my stack. And if I'm called like by ace queen or ace king, like I'm ahead of that hand. I'm not in bad spot. Yeah, I sometimes get it in against queens and I'm dead, but like a lot of times I jam here and it just goes fold, 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 and I scoop. Or some of the time I jam and it goes fold, 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 and Mariano calls with ace king and like whatever, let's go. So I ship it in. A little bit on the looser side. Not going to pretend like this is like some super nitty ship. This is definitely one of my looser ships. But you know what? 35K. I'm here to play. Let's go. I ship it in. Everybody gets out of the way. Mariano snaps me off, and he says, I got it. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I love Mariano because he's like, he does the opposite of the slow roll. Most like Airball's like, you got it. I know he has aces, where Mariano says, I got it. And I'm like, okay, well, it's Mariano. But he says it with ace king, which is so funny. I love that. Anyway, so we run it. We decide to run it twice here. We're flipping. I need a button, so I need to win the first run out. If I win the first run out, I get the button. If I don't win, I don't. We run it twice. Here's what happens.
You made him go on pure life tilt, dude.
6-6-3.
Win the first one.
Ace, a king, or running sixes.
Henry broke Alec. Now he goes all in.
They're running it twice, apparently.
I think if you win, you scoop.
8.
Yeah, I got bad feeling.
Eights are good.
Nice.
Torelli will at least break even on this one.
Yes, I'll take it.
All right.
Now I need an
You
8.
got the time chip.
Now I need an 8.
Real hand?
Oh no.
You still need an
Now I
8.
really need an 8.
Top.
No.
Top.
Still need an 8.
Torelli drawing dead as we go to this river.
For what, Henry?
And they're going to chop it up. They each win about $2,600.
Roger.
All right, so as you can see, there's definitely some fun dynamics in the game. Sometimes I'm playing short, sometimes I'm playing deep, I'm working up a stack. I really am all over the place in this game. It is pretty bananas. So anyway, this hand kicks off. It's a super interesting spot. We basically have a few limps here. 4 limps, early position with 7-6, and then Art calls on the button. And Mike X just makes a big raise. He does not have a bounty blind. So this is not a 3-bet. Some people were saying like this is a 3-bet. It's not a 3-bet. He just open raises very big. He raises to 2K. He's in the big line. So I'm in the straddle to his left. I also don't have a button. And, I'm putting him on a decent hand. Like maybe he's bluffing here some of the time with this size raise. That's definitely possible. But he could also have a big hand. Either way, I don't have a button. I need one, I come along with pocket 3s. If it goes call behind me, I'm actually getting a really good price on my 3s. And if I hit a set, I could win a huge pot. The pot's going to be like 8K. So anyway, I call. 4 calls behind. Art gets out of the way. We go 3 ways to the flop, which is gin for me, 9-6-3. The pot's 6,200. Mike X comes out firing with a C-bet of 4K. It's really important here that I just flat call. A couple reasons here. Number one is I'm going to be flat calling with a lot of weaker hands. If I have a 9 or even 10s, I might want to flat call. And 8s, 7s, a 6, maybe some straight draws. Those hands are all going to want to flat call here. Maybe even some ace highs. Maybe I don't believe them with like ace queen. I just want to flat call. Number 2 is I also want to keep 4 in the pot. If 4 has something like 7-6, basically drawing slim, very dead, very slim. A hand like a 9, like queen 9 is basically drawing dead. I want those hands to continue and maybe get out of line and make my hand look weaker than it is. So it's really important to balance that out and just flat here. Number 3 is I also keep Mike X's bluffs in the pot. If he's bluffing with ace king, again, kind of like in the hand against Airball, if he hits an ace or a king, he's going to think it's good. And if he doesn't, he might bluff anyway. So calling here is definitely the right play. I call. 4 actually makes a pretty good fold, gets out of the way here with a 6 with a backdoor straight draw. Turn comes a jack of diamonds here, which is a good card for Mike. This card is better for Mike than it is for me because there's more hands that he can have that contain a jack that bet the flop than hands that I could have that contain a jack that call the flop. This is the process I use in my hand range funnel. It's free to download at consciouspoker.com. Just go to consciouspoker.com, enter your email anywhere. You can download the exact process that I use to break down hands and understand exactly, most likely, where my opponents are at using this methodology. I teach it to thousands of clients as well. I'm super confident it'll help you on your game. So basically, at this point, this is a good card for me because it's a better card for him to bluff. And because I have a set, I want him to continue bluffing, right? Also, if he does have a jack, like he turns jack 10, he's going to think his jack is good. It looks like I have a 9. It looks like I have 8s or 7s or a 6. So he's definitely going to think a jack is good here. He comes out firing, repping the jack, repping an overpair. He can still have all the overpairs. It's a lot harder for me to have those hands given how this hand went down. So I really like Mike X's bet on the turn here. It puts a lot of pressure on my range, which is a lot weaker than his. Credit to him, good bet. River comes a 5 of diamonds, and frankly here, Mike X pot is 34K. I have 22K behind, basically a 2/3 pot size bet. It's a very natural spot for him to potentially turn this hand into a bluff and jam. He has the ace of diamonds, which makes it, it's a good blocker. Like from a theory perspective, it's a good blocker. Not sure how, sort of relevant here, but at the end of the day, neither of us have a button. So there's this whole other shift in the dynamics of the game that are going on. But still, like, if Mike X had queens, if he had kings, if he had aces, he'd probably jam here. So I don't mind a jam here from his point of view. Yeah, my hand looks a lot stronger when I call the turn, and some of the hands I call the turn with contain, like, 9 with the diamonds, or 8-7 of diamonds, or 6x of diamonds. The river's a little dicey for him to jam, but at the same time, he showed up here with ace high. Neither of us have a button. I could see it going either way. In any event, Mike X checks. At this point, people get scared here, like, oh, straight got there, flush got there, just gonna check my set, and like, pot's big enough, whatever, like I don't want to jam, and then he snap calls with a flush, and then you look stupid, or I let him get there. That's like a common thing people say, like if he were to have a flush, people are like, oh, you let him get there, but when they don't have a flush, they say you trapped him brilliantly. It's like, no. What you have to do is you have to make your decisions based on the merit of the play and forget about the outcome. You have to play based on the fact that you do not know what your opponent has, and you're playing for the most likely outcome against the most likely hands they have. This is all part of that hand range funnel that I teach. So it's really important to think about not just what could happen in your doomsday worst case scenario, but what's most likely to happen most of the time. In this spot, he checked, like if he has a jack, like jack 10, he's going to check, but like I want to get value from that hand. If I was bluffing here, if I showed up on this river with a bluff, like 7-5 or something, like I'm going to bet. I'm going to bet to force him to fold whatever, right? I'm going to turn my hand into a bluff, or maybe I just have a bluff that like didn't get there. Like whatever, or like a pair or something like that. Like however you want to look at the hand, if I had something like 10-8 of spades or 10-8 and I floated the turn, or like king queen and I double floated or something, like all those hands are going to bluff. So in order to protect that, I have to value bet here. I have to go for value. If he has me beat, it doesn't matter. I ship it in, he tanks for a while, and here's what happens.
22,000.
You guys have given me a lot already, don't worry.
Show me. 22.25.
And Mike just called. My mouth is dropped.
Thank you.
Wow.
58+6.
Mike just was not going to fold no matter what.
All right, last hand of the night, guys. Stay tuned. This one is awesome. I'm on a rampage here at this point. I'm at 73,000. I literally turned 10K or whatever it was, 5K into 75,000. People are like, oh, why'd you buy it short? Whatever. Like these types of amazing run-ups happen where it's not only about your profit, it's about your risk-adjusted return. So it's about how much you're risking relative to how much you're making. So it's cool to turn 10K into 90 or whatever it is because you have a 10X return on that capital. So you think about it from an investment standpoint, from a business plan standpoint, and that's a really exciting, compelling part of these sorts of very high aggressive games when you can spin it up and you have a low cost basis. So anyway, kind of how I think of things from an investment standpoint. But either way, I have kings on the button. None of that really matters. Doesn't matter how much I'm in or how much I'm investing or like whatever. I have kings on the fucking button. I open at 300. Everybody calls. We go 4 ways to the flop, which comes ace 9-4. Everybody checks. Now on me in this point, maybe I could bet here some of the time. Maybe it's better to bet like something like 10s because I benefit from some protection because I don't want a jack, queen, or king to come, making an overcard to my hand and potentially letting someone make a better hand than mine. But with kings specifically, those things don't really come into play. In fact, if a jack comes or a queen comes, those cards are actually good for me because maybe it made someone one pair and I could get value from those hands. So I actually like kings here as a check a little bit more than something like 10s. I know that's a little bit of a nuance and I'm sort of splitting hairs, but that's kind of what I do. And anyway, I check the flop. The turn comes a jack of diamonds and it checks around to me again. At this point, I bet 600, half pot, and getting value, getting protection. I think it's reasonable here. I mean, yeah, sure, I could check here, but it gets checked to me twice on the button and everyone's in the blinds and people are playing any 2 cards. My kings are probably good and I sort of benefit from betting a little bit here at this point. There's a lot of bad cards that could come here in a 4-way pot for my hand. So I bet 600. Brown Balla, not a believer. He likes the check raise, goes 3,500 here. At this point, I think like you got to make a read. Like, you got to kind of decide what to do in this spot. What hands is he repping? He's repping strong hands. He's repping something like 2-pair or a set. If he had those hands, would he play it this way? Absolutely. You know, if he has a draw, he doesn't have a hand that's better than mine, he might also bluff here. So it's like, you kind of have to know your opponent. You have to know the spot. You have to know the situation. And that's a lot of what this metagame high-level stuff is in these moments. It's, yeah, there's some theory. I could reason through the hands and stuff like that. But you have to have that situational awareness, know where people are at, know what's happening in this moment, and the flow of the game, and be really, really in tune with that. And I know that sounds like kind of wishy-washy, but that's really the subtle nuance of what's happening in the moment at high stakes poker. At this point, I'm not a believer. I go ahead and call, picking off some bluffs, and the river comes a very interesting queen of diamonds. He thinks for a second and actually bets out 15K. So he basically 2x pots this river. So what hands is he repping here when he 2x pots the river? Would he bet this way with 2-pair or set? Maybe. But he's definitely repping something like a straight or a flush, right? A flush is definitely like the hand that makes the most sense here, right? Like, he check raised the turn. If he was bluffing, he had that flush draw, and then he potentially got there. He hits the flush on the river. Now he goes max value 2x pot and just is going for it, right? That makes a lot of sense. So a flush is definitely possible. Fortunately for me, maybe unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I have the king of diamonds. So it's like I block some straights and I block some flushes. So at this point here, you really have to make a read in this spot. Like, I don't want to, like, there's some theory that goes into it, and I could run this through a solver, and I could look at what the solver would do. And yeah, like, that's a good thing to fall back on if you have no history, no knowledge, no anything, and you're just like playing online, or you just have no other information available to you and you need to make a solid decision. That's one way to approach this. So from that standpoint, I'll analyze the hand from that standpoint. I'm not going to talk too much about my specific reads for obvious reasons, but from that standpoint, I think this hand actually you could maybe make the case of this hand as a shove. I have what's called a blocker, which is the king of diamonds, which means it's impossible that my opponent has the nut flush because I have that card in my hand. So like, solvers really like bluffing with these types of hands for balance, and also because it applies a lot of pressure on your opponent when you know that they can't have a certain hand. So if he bets 15K here and I jam, like, it's a tough spot for him, even if he has a low flush, because I'm repping a higher flush. Now, so that's kind of like the theory behind it here. This hand also could potentially be a call because, like, you know, if he's bluffing, I could just call and win, but it also could be a fold because if he's value betting, I'm calling and losing. So it really could go either way. It could go all three ways. Like, I think in a certain spot, you can make a case for all three, depending on who your opponent is, what the situation is, what your read is, what the metagame is, like, everything, right? And so in these moments, this is where I think poker is so unique at a high level, live, in person, when you play with the same players and you build up reads and history with them. And this is what poker is. Like, this is the most exciting part of poker to me. And so this is why I love the game, because these spots come up and it's just like, does he have it? Does he not have it? That's what poker is. That's why I love the game. Leave your thoughts in the comment below. How would you do this one? Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to learn more from you guys. Smash that like button while you're down there. Let's see how this one plays out.
Frederick says, easy call for Torelli if he just uses the hand range funnel. And there's the call. Wow. Torelli's pumped. He's doing the head bob. He only does that head bob when he wins $15,000 with a hero call on the river. Yeah.
All right, guys, that is it for today's vlog. I ended up winning $55,300 in 5 hours on the stream. A great session, high variance. A few of those spots really worked out for me. I feel like in the big spots, I kind of nailed it tonight, which is a great feeling. Congrats to all the Stake Kings investors. Thank you guys for your support, and more awesome content's coming. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and follow me on social at Alec Torelli on Twitter and Instagram for a chance to actually win free giveaways for these upcoming streams as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in a future episode. Cheers.